Hey guys, it's Space Monkey Mafia here, and welcome back to the channel. Today's background is Sergeant Greenguy, one of my little betas I have. He has a little bit of a 5-gallon tank. He's got some little snail buddies, a rabbit snail, and a nearite snail. Oh, and there's like a bunch of MTS too. He doesn't move too much, so the background isn't too interesting today. I'm probably going to be switching up Fridays between his tank and the tank of one of my platies. Or I might do the platies tomorrow. Who knows? We'll figure it out as we go along. Today we're doing PettyRevenge. The first one's called Hard Partiers Get a Rude Awakening from Rude Husband. This happened quite a number of years ago. EN, entitled neighbors, a couple. BH, rude husband. You can guess the B doesn't stand for rude. We were living in a good neighborhood with nice neighbors, mostly. There was this one house, the entitled neighbors, EN, on a larger lot, so that 8 other houses bordered it. This house was also at the bottom of a sloped bowl on the hillside, which meant that any of the other properties had a clear view of their backyard and, unfortunately, could hear when they held loud parties, which was almost every Saturday night during the summer months. Events would always unfold the same. ENs would have an indoor party which would spill outside about 10 p.m. ENs would move their stereo outside and blast music. Between the loud people and the often inappropriate loud music, the evening would be ruined for everyone adjacent and even people living further up the hill. Eventually, someone would call the police would arrive, the volume would go down, the police would leave, the volume would go back up, accompanied by cavorting drunks in the backyard yelling obscenities about how dare anyone call the cops on them. This would often go on until daylight the next morning. This was not the worst of it. You see, on Sundays, the good neighbors would go about their yard work making the typical noises associated with such activities. This would bother the ENs because they would be in their backyard trying to sleep and would start screaming at the neighbors anytime anyone made any noise outside, be it adults or children. That's right, these ENs expected to be able to turn the entire block into their personal bedroom after they had ruined the previous night for the entire neighborhood. Enter my husband, who decided that this was going to end now. BH went and spoke to all the other guys on the block and then waited for the ENs to have their next party, which happened in its usual form, ending somewhere around 6 in the morning. Then about 7:30 to 8, the ENs had flopped their rumps down in the grass of their backyard with a couple of pillows and blankets. At exactly 9 a.m., the sounds of Die Valkyrie began playing from the 6 very large speakers my BH had set up close to the property line, pointing directly at the ENs. For reference, this is the same piece of music that accompanies the helicopter attack in the movie Apocalypse Now. It literally screamed. The ENs were awoken and scrambled to their feet, and began shouting at my BH. On cue, all the other guys in the neighborhood turned on the lawnmowers they had rolled up to the property lines. This included guys from further up the hill who had brought their machines down to join in the fun. Oops, I mean social shaming. Leaving the lawnmowers running, they also began turning on hedge cutters, weed whackers, and any other machinery that makes noise. The ENs were completely freaking out, screaming, jumping, shaking their fists, throwing their pillows around, going absolutely purple, but no one could hear them over the noise. Not that anyone cared what they had to say. Eventually, the wife EN ran into the house and got her phone and made a big show of making a phone call. I don't know if she actually called the police because none came by. And what could she say? The neighbors were mowing their lawns on a Sunday morning after 9 when you're allowed to make noise? Also, I have a feeling the police were probably sick of responding to noise complaints about them. We kept it up for 2 hours, and it was quite cathartic. End result, ENs didn't have another party and moved out a few months later. I love my husband. Counselor uses her authority and money to help her daughter become homecoming princess. Student body claps back immediately. So, for those outside the US, during football season there's one week called homecoming where the school gets up to play their rival. Of the many school spirit events to occur, the most notable is the student body elects a homecoming court and then announces them to the crowd during the game at halftime. Though they were also announced to the students the day before the game in the morning and also during the night pep rally, important later. They get flowers and a crown, pictures in the yearbook, and hold court at homecoming dance the next day. Every school has different rules for those students who choose to run for court, and ours were pretty straightforward. You could make up to 10 posters, school provided the materials, you could make social media posts, but you couldn't buy anything to use as advertising. No food, no flyers, none of that. It was to ensure that there wasn't an unfair advantage to students that had more money than others. On to the story. My sophomore year, on the very first day of homecoming, I walk into the cafeteria with my friends for lunch only to see a junior, V from now on, with a huge basket of candy, passing it out to everyone walking in. V was part of the swim team with one of my best friends, who we later found out she had a crush on, but that's another wild EP story. She spots him, swoops down on us, and hands us each a handful of candy. Every single piece has been wrapped in ribbons with a tag that says, V for Princess. I, along with most people in the cafeteria, are confused. The no extra spending rule is pretty well known, so everyone was wondering how she was getting away with this. The only explanation we could all think of was that her mom, EP, entitled parent, must have pulled some strings or something. She was the counselor for the seniors and was known to be a doting mother to V, though no one had ever heard of her trying to use her influence to help V unfairly. Either way, no one was going to refuse free candy, and the day went on. Tuesday, walked into the cafeteria again with the homies to find V and her posse now passing out custom bracelets with a variety of different slogans on them like, "Vote for V, V for Princess," or "A vote for V is a vote for royalty." Again, no one is refusing the bracelets, but everyone recognizes that she clearly spent a few $100s on these. The other candidates are confused as well, and obviously upset that V is so blatantly breaking the rules. At this point, her magenta ribbons and bracelets are all over the student body. Wednesday, you know the drill. We walk in and now she's passing out custom noisemakers like clappers, whistles, mini cowbells, all engraved with her initials. V was posted right by the door leading into our sub-cafeteria, where the students were casting their votes. As we lined up, she passed some of her princess swag to us, asking us to vote for her and keep the noisemakers close for the night pep rally on Thursday to show our support. Now, obviously, there were other candidates for princess, including a girl, M, who was in the color guard for band and was just a super sweet person all around. Even though I've been taking V's stuff, I had always been planning to vote for M, and I did. As I was leaving the sub, I distinctly remember V bragging that since she had given so much stuff away, there was no way she couldn't win. I privately agreed, even though I thought it was scummy and that she broke the rules and seemingly got away with it. Thursday morning, everyone is listening to the announcements when they finally begin to list the winners. Lo and behold, M ends up winning Homecoming Princess. So many students busted out laughing. Apparently most were like me in the sense that they just accepted V's stuff because it was free, not because they actually supported her. M had unknowingly been the school favorite from the get-go. I was a student assistant after my homeroom class in the main office that year, and that day I was organizing the supply closet closest to the principal's office. I had totally pushed the gossip of the princess out of my head already when I hear someone slam the door to the main office open and fly into the principal's office. I peeked my head around the corner and see the counselor, EP, V's mom standing with her hands on her hips waiting for the principal, P, to get off the phone. P, is there a problem, Miss EP? EP, of course there's a problem. My daughter should have been the homecoming princess. I want to recount. P, sound of shuffling papers. Well, I have the numbers right here, and I can tell you that Miss M won by a landslide. The numbers aren't even close. EP, silence as she reads the ballot count. I don't care. I spent too much money for my daughter not to be the homecoming princess. You need to fix this. P, you weren't supposed to spend any money on this in the first place, and now I'm supposed to fix this? At this point, one of them got up and closed the door because they had started yelling, so I missed out on the rest of the conversation. The other office assistants and I spread the chisme around the school like wildfire, with everyone wondering how it was all going to play out. V, who had been shell-shocked in the morning after hearing about her loss, seemed oddly smug after she visited her mom's office in the afternoon. The gossip buzz was deafening. That night, during the pep rally, the principal announced that there was a slight change to the court. Instead of having one princess, we'd be having two co-princesses. She then announced M and V's names, and the crowd quickly turned into a mix of cheering for M and booing for V. Students began taking off the bracelets V made and tossing them onto the basketball court. It took a few minutes for the principal to get us to stop so she could finish introducing the winners. M looked confused, V looked shocked at the crowd's reaction, and EP looked livid that people were booing her daughter. It never got better for V and EP for the rest of the homecoming. During the football game, when the co-princesses were announced, the students pulled out posters saying M's the real princess and started booing again when V was announced. EP went ballistic, trying to get security to throw out the kids who made the banners and yelling at anyone she saw booing. At the dance, the prince had to dance half of the court dance with V and the other half with M. While he was dancing with V, students pulled out noisemakers she had given out and just made a lot of noise to ruin the moment while EP blew a gasket, trying to stop the whole thing and get everyone in attendance thrown out. On Monday, students went out of their way to bring flowers to M and filled the trash cans with whatever was left of V's freebies. As a side note to this whole thing, the principal was an extremely crafty woman and very good to the student body. When she first arrived, she fired 2/3 of the extremely bad staff and replaced them with great teachers, kicked out a few hundred problem students, and had an open-door policy for us to come in and air our grievances. Her track record of going to bat with us was immaculate, which is why everyone thought it was weird when she gave in to EP and V. However, many of the students thought it was far stranger that throughout the homecoming weekend, she never once chastised or even addressed us for booing V or bringing the noisemakers and posters to the dancing game, which was very against school and district policy. She refused to listen to EP when she wanted repercussions for the kids who violated those policies. She also made a point to give M the crowns but V a simple sash. Lots of us suspected that she gave in knowing the whole co-princess thing wouldn't go over well, but we'll never know for sure. And that wraps up the video for today. Again, the name's Space Monkey Mafia. If you liked the video, hit like, comment, subscribe, all the little good YouTube stuff. I do hope you guys did like it, and if you did, I'll see you back here tomorrow. Bye.